Hey guys, how's it going? It's May the 9th, 9:39 p.m. and just starting up. Don't have too much time. Well, should have enough time to comment and get a few things off my chest, I guess, or what's on my mind, I suppose. Um, this is a little strange because I'm not exactly sure. I titled this on YouTube just now. I titled this Expectations, and everybody has them. Um, you know, it's just a fact of life. Um, Everybody has needs, wants, desires, expectations, satisfaction. I don't know. You can keep naming all kinds of different adjectives or whatever the hell you want, but at the end of the day, it all comes down, for me, anyways, this comes down to, is this meeting my expectations? And then eventually, the end users, it's going to come down to, is this meeting their expectations? I see a lot of positives with this. I really do. Um, is it worth the extra effort? Can I did I jump the gun too fast on this one? Now I waited. It took me a long time before I actually started, let alone jump the gun. But I begin to wonder if that's a possibility. I don't know. Could be, but I'm not too sure. So, and then now, whoops, I don't want to do that. Now we've got. It's kind of interesting because California is just about. I think they went up yesterday or something. I'm not sure, but I know I don't have much time to go on California at the moment, at least. That might change coming in about a couple of weeks because I'm fast approaching 2 long weekends. The first one, I believe, I was going to check this on the calendar tonight, but I believe this comes on um, a week and a half from now. Not too far away, actually. Or I don't know. I guess week and a half. That'll be the start of that weekend, and that's a weekend I will not be with my son. He will. I take it will be away. I don't think I'm seeing him that weekend, which is fine because that's uh, was a request for his mom, and that it means it's a long weekend that it's going to be myself. I don't have any plans other than I'll go outside if it's nice. I'm not planning on spending any money because I'm trying to cut my costs at this time. So, but I don't have any plans at the moment, so that could be a good thing. So we'll see how it goes. I got a 1425 in here, or is that from before? I'm looking at this. I'm like, huh? Wait a minute here. Which one am I on? Well, I guess I'm at 1600 here. Sorry, I got lost for a minute. Oh, okay, I'm coming up to a 1600. I see. For some reason, I still thought I was down at the other end, but I'm not. Okay. Did I get everything from the last time? I think I did. So that was from before, 1600. There we go. Okay. So, I'm just seeing here what is scheduled. I haven't done any checks for the schedule just yet, but another one out of Selkirk. I already got two that are sitting around. Let me get these ones going. This isn't too bad. I'm gonna check the passenger schedule. I think I checked this the other night. Oh yeah, I did set it up. 244, 68, 64. Um, I think I missed one. I missed sending this train out. I didn't set that one up, so I got to do that. Um, So 244, 68, 64. I don't think I have either of them. Yeah. I think I have the westbounds. 235, 291. Actually, I got a bunch of them there. 235. Let's see what I got for passengers. 253. 237.49. 291. 235. I think that's it. 35, 37, 91. This is the ones I'm at. 235, 97. I got 253. No, never mind. What am I missing here? I'm missing the opposite way. I know I'm missing a lot of the opposite way. 37, 49. 237, 49. 91, 35. Okay, that's them. It's the other ones, and I've already highlighted them red, so obviously I got to get them into the picture here. So at 1508 I forgot one, which means I got to go back all the way up to here, I guess. Was it 1508? Yeah. So that's P64. That figures. And that's, I don't know what the hell it is. It's Syracuse to New York. I don't even know what I would name that. It's going to New York. I guess you'd call it Syracuse or Buffalo. I don't even know what the hell I call these damn things. Niagara Falls. All right. Maybe it's a Niagara Falls. I honestly I don't know. Wherever the hell it is. How about from west? I know it's going to New York. Whoops. Yeah. Okay, I'll get back to my point in a minute. So it's a daily. Wow. So I'm going to put this in here, highlight this yellow. That's just to let me know that I have to include these trains into the list. So that's that. I know 242's there, which I already ran. Okay, what else am I missing? So 244 and 68 I don't think I have. Oh, probably not, because I don't have anything else that's even. What had happened was the first go around I only did the westbounds, or sorry, I only did the eastbounds up to noon, and then I forgot that I had to still do them, so that'll increase the traffic a little bit. Don't worry, I'll finish my thought in a minute. So 68, 1727, coming from CP or something. 1727. I gotta get rid of those. Those are so annoying. I don't know why I have them in there still. 1727. CP rail. How about that? From CP to New York. Yeah, I haven't checked. I haven't checked. What kind of word is that? I haven't checked the actual Amtrak schedule. I haven't put a description as to what that is, but it's a train. That's all I know. Good enough for me. 244 is at 16:05. Shoot. They're dailies too. Okay. Want to get that in there. And then I'll get that last one. Then we'll know how many trains we're dealing with. 244 is at 16:05. 16:05 was it? Yep. So that's right at the pretty much right at the start. No Hudson. Oh, okay. I even got it listed so there's no. Well, it says there's no Hudson, but I have times for Hudson, so what the hell's that one? Oh, that's 49, which could be very true. Yeah, there's no. Oh, yeah, that's the big one. There's no Hudson. There's no Hudson. There's no all kinds of crap there. Who am I kidding? And what do I have it set at? It's going to Chicago. Here, forget that. There's all kinds of different limiteds on that one. Here. I'm just going to put limited. Hopefully that rings a bell. Because limited basically means a train that, has limited stops. Makes sense, right? Broadway limited. Whatever the hell that's called. I can't remember. P49. It's got one of those damn names to it. That's probably 24. I got something wrong with that schedule. Okay, let me go back up to this here. So 16:05, 244. 244. At 16:05, I already had that set up. It's a daily from Albany. I think it's from Albany. Yeah, it's eastbound. That's a daily. So that'll be the first of many, I would assume. Alright, so we are looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the number of trains is down. So anyways, let me briefly, as I copy these, talk about the expectations factor. There's a few. Well, let me deal first with what people, or at least what I'm seeing come through as potential expectations that people have. One thing I've seen some comments for has been even offers to help and everything, or wondering. I've seen it a couple times now, and I think it's people who don't know me that well, or know, or who have followed me long enough to understand what it is I'm trying to achieve here. And that is, there's a lot of curiosity as to when we will be running locals. And I responded to that last night, basically saying I can't get Selkirk, people running Selkirk, let alone, and it's not just people running Selkirk. I actually do have help in Selkirk right now, but I can't even get that. And when I do get help, they want to, I remember the first night we ran, it was like people want to run it their own damn way. So they don't even want to follow instructions. They just want to say, well, they want to get argumentative and all this other garbage. And thankfully, I haven't had a repeat of all that, because that would have driven me to the point where I'd have to start blocking IPs because I wouldn't be going for that. Well, not blocking IPs. I just don't let them in. And if they get annoying, then I'll block the IPs. But and I know to some people out there who think the internet is their community, they can do whatever they want and go where they want, and I'm supposed to be subservient to everybody, and I should be gracious that their users, or they think that users have to grace their presence to me or something like that. It works both ways, okay? One, I can't expect, grow if I was to treat people like crap or not encourage people. But at the same time, you know, you can't expect hosts to bend over backwards or give you everything that you want just because you're a user. So here's how things work. And you're seeing what you're seeing here, and I'll go through this. I still don't have every train in this system. I would say 95% of them, but I don't have every one of them. Of the trains that I do have, I don't have any locals. I don't have some of the extra, like, there's the odd ballast train, and I don't know if there's grain train. I don't even know. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't gone into. There's as required stuff that's actually in here that I'm not running. So to get this, here's how it works. The center of operations of any distribution system is always going to be your central hub. So the central hub of Selkirk Mohawk is Albany, and Albany is a huge central hub for the entire region. A lot of stuff goes up to Albany, and then it gets humped, reclassified, sent out on other trains. It's very similar to what Barstow is to California. There are some trains that go in, they wait, they terminate, they keep the same symbol, and they keep going as per Conrail notes that I have. There's some that actually do terminate. There is through traffic, but most of that is trailer van and multi-level. Some of it does work Selkirk. There's a lot that just goes through as well. So it's very similar to Barstow in that respect, except the traffic levels are much lower than California in comparison. This is what attracted me to Selkirk Mohawk the most, other than the fact that I thought it was probably the most gorgeous route out there of the three. And that's not a knock against Florida, because I think Florida has its own beauty. Even California has its own beauty, to be quite honest. But that's just a testament to what I see, and a lot of it's not original. They use a lot of Florida scenery in here. You'll see a lot of stuff that you can see there's been a lot of stuff that the Florida guys have allowed the Selkirk Mohawk and Mikey to use. It's the way it's done, the way it's created. It really captures the feeling of the area for me, and the whole thing too to keep in mind as well is scenery can only be as what it actually really is. That's just a part of the scenery that I particularly enjoy. Florida, you're Florida and Selkirk, you're not Florida, Florida, Georgia, you're dealing, you're dealing with, you're in a forested area for a while, and that's just the way the scenery is. Actually, I enjoy the scenery when you get south of of Jacksonville, and you get into some of the rivers and bridges. So there's a lot of stuff that I like about that. I love California. I love going down Cajon. I think that, it's very panoramic. It's really cool. Scenery isn't really what though that got me to really be interested in this. What got me into being interested in this the most was the traffic level was the lowest of all three, with the exception, I would say, Florida was one that I considered to try, despite the fact that there is a 24/7 RTS Florida server. I considered it. I thought about it. I really, really thought about it. Because for me, I started seeing the potential, especially once I found out what AI does and what the system did. I did see some potential in running trains into and out of Florida, because the way the manifest system works, I wouldn't have to, I basically, all I had to do was set up my industries and just run my locals, and away I went. And I didn't have to, if I didn't want to run dispatch, I didn't have to do anything. I could run single player and just, maybe invite a few people or whatever and see how it goes. But who knows? So the first night we ran was back on, was it last Wednesday? I think we started. I think it was. I have to think about that one for a minute. I guess it has been. I was gonna say it was Sunday, but I don't think so. I think we ran Wednesday and then we ran Sunday. Um, yeah, I think that's how it went. Don't quote me on that. My memory is horrible, but I believe we've ran Wednesday, Sunday, and Monday so far. Last night was the lowest turnout. It happens. Now, the reason why I mention that is because we do seem to have at least a hint of some regulars. It looked as though Sunday was going to be dead, and then it turned out a lot of people at the last minute, a group of people. Seems like a group of the guys from um, the the one group over. I can't even think of their name, to be quite honest. Um, there's so many different names out there. It escapes me at the moment. But anyways, um, I guess what is it? Was it Valhalla Tower or whatever? I don't know. Whatever their group, Jonah's got, and there's he's got a bunch of friends, and they've done some YouTube videos of the session before. They seem to be having a fun time, everything or whatever, but they're fairly new to RTS, so they're probably not familiar with what we do, or what I have always tried to do, which is okay and it's cool. That's great. We're always open. I'm always open to potentially new people, and I'd rather be more open than I would be restrictive. Despite the fact that being restrictive allows me to have better trust in knowing what I'm after. But the reason why, and when I first started, there was times where I'd go through the schedule, the mock schedule, and we went over some days, and I think in the overnight hours it's going to happen again, where the schedule gets very light. I think a lot of it has to do with the passengers. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, see, it thins out quite a bit. You can see right there, you got one page there that goes from 020 to 515. Okay. But then you go for the next page, you got 515 and 9. So again, it's still relatively light, but now you're, instead of 5 hours and 15 minutes, you're actually within 4. When you pop it up to 44, and then you go here, now you're within a 3-hour window of that many trains. If I go to 65, again, now we're just starting to get into this phase where it's starting to wind down a bit, but at the same time, we're into this whole Amtrak rush hour thing. So a lot of it has to do with the has to do more with the other things. And a lot of these, some are different days or whatever, so they don't always run on the same time. Again, we got a 4-hour bubble here, and then it picks up in the evening. A lot of different stuff. But then again, see, you see duplicates here, so it's hard to pick it. I know there's a busier time right at the end of the evening and into the latter part of the night. Right around here, it really picks up, and then there's like a dry spell. I can't explain where it's at right here. I know it's in here somewhere. But then again, I was running a Sunday schedule the first time around, so I got to a Monday. So anyways, I'm going on a little bit too much here than what I wanted to, and I do have some stuff that I want to get done tonight because basically tomorrow's a session, and I would really like to get the bid board up tonight. So I don't want to drag too much onto this, and I just want to keep on going. So with 12 trains, that doesn't seem right. Was it 12? I thought I had 12. Maybe I don't. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, we got the 4 down there, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, I see 13. Okay, so I got 13 then. So this will take us into a fair amount. Of the 13, there's quite a bit of passengers. Manifest. Let me take a quick look here and see how many manifests we got going. Right now I see passenger, passenger, passenger. Another Selkirk departure. I got 2 late right now. I had 2 that were behind that I got out, and I think I have 2 that are currently has not departed yet. So I had a 1946 and a 2206. The other ones that were waiting, I did get out at the beginning, the Seal and the Cessa. These are okay. I just switched the hump over, so I should be able to pull those out. They were all Boston poles, so they're going to Castleton. So that's why I switched over to Eastern, so that I can pull and make those trains. Those won't take too long. But the thing that's happening right now is I have to deal with the passenger trains. Getting them started, it's taking a little bit. So there's a little bit of growing pains right now, but slowly that's starting to dissipate. So it's not too bad. But I'm looking at the rest of the stuff here. I see passenger, 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 manifest departure, passenger, passenger. Well, goody goody. Okay, there they are. It literally took me all the way to 1915, 30 and 35 before I got to the next 3 inbound trains. And there they are. I thought for a minute I was going to get away without. So on average there's usually 3 trains, but they're all coming at the very end this time around. So anyways, I was saying as far as how the system works. Let me load up the world here, and I'll try to explain this a little bit. Hopefully this makes sense. I don't know how many people are honestly paying attention to this or not, but it feels good to, it's kind of like therapy just to get this out, because I talk about these things, I think about these things. When I'm at work, when I do have the time, when I'm out on the road, I think about these things. I'm going to be thinking a lot about these things when I go out west. I'll be thinking about these things in another week and a half. So there's going to be a lot of time to think about these things. Let me lodge this, and I'm going to pause it. Or at least pause, yeah, I'll pause the clock, and then I'll let the weather do its thing. Let's see if it... I wonder if the storm will come up again. That'd be really cool if it does. Well, the weather's still going, so that's good. Okay. Because I saved it yesterday and we had a storm coming through. Or just about to come through. It looks potentially like a storm. Well, we'll see. It was in this area, so I don't know how the weather works sometimes. Sometimes it's stormy and then the storm comes. So you can see the auto rack facility is full, but then you look at all the other auto racks that are out here. There's quite a bit. That just has not been processed. Plain and simple. I've got the receiving yard. If you look at the receiving yard, with the exception of track 10, which is a set off, one of course is a runaround, it's full, and it's been full most of this simulated day so far. That all has to be humped. As I said, I switched everything over to Boston. This one's gonna definitely need to be trimmed more than likely right away. Anything going to the Boston, because it actually does switch all tracks as opposed to some of the others. That's definitely going to have to be trimmed. I need some more reporting features in here. I need all kinds of things. Now, here's how this whole system works. And it's the heart of RTS. It's basically the philosophy of everything that is RTS. And hopefully this will explain it to you as best I can. As far as the why I do what I do, and the methodology behind it. What I do is I focus on car forwarding and making sure that trains. I don't know what other people do on their servers. I try not to worry about what other people do too much, other than the fact that if I can learn something from what other people do, then I may try those things. What I found is I've seen where a lot of times on a server, one of the things that I used to see in the early days was people would just spawn trains out of nowhere. Now we do spawn trains for the sake of, I guess you would say, out of nowhere, but we always spawn them at the end and bring them in. The question that I was getting asked was, about the industries. Are you going to be running the locals? Are you going to be running this? And I said no, because when you look and compare this yard and you go compare it to Syracuse, Syracuse is empty. Everything else is empty. Back before AI, when I originally had the California server, eventually Mike had it. Mike is bringing back his own server, and he's had a lot of thinking as well, and he's had to make decisions for himself, which I totally understand, and I'm looking forward very much so to run some main lines under some dispatchers again, and I will be doing that hopefully sooner than later. So now I'm starting to look at that and thinking, okay, well, now we got a server coming up that really fits my needs. Like, I'm all over the place here, so let me just go back to here. Now, this is a list of the community servers. First of all, I pushed for this. I think I was one who was pushing in the community and saying, we could really use this. I think, like, where did all the servers go? Well, here's a whole whack of servers. We've got all kinds. And the one that Southwest Rail Simulations is Mike's server, which is the former RTS California server. This is totally non-RTS. This is his own server. He wanted to try something under his own, and basically I guess he's got member only and open to the public. I'm not too sure how that works, but so he's got that set up ready to go, or or in the process of going. I know because he's advertised certain times. What the hell's going on there? Do I have something? Why do I have guys that are stopping for red signals when I have them all on holding? Everybody should be stopped for a red signal. That's weird. I don't know why they're complaining. That's strange. I was like, what the hell's going on? Okay, so anyways, Mike, I know through what he's advertised, he's basically said that there will be a dispatcher at a certain time on this time in the week and other times, and he has a scheduling system to where he's going to put up other dispatching times. That's very inviting to me because one, I know he's doing very similar, not so much what I am in some similarities, but for California, and what he's doing is he's starting small. He's actually got more. He's got more industries than I have, and I think he has more. I'm not too sure if he's got another base of people that he trusts, or exactly what he's got. But he does have dispatchers during the day, and he is running 24/7. He believes 24/7 works. He believes in the concept of 24/7. Personally, I don't agree with. I don't believe in 24/7. I believe in scheduled sessions. 24/7 for me was a time where, but I like the fact that it's there because then I know. But what invites me or gets me interested in what he's got to offer is when he has his scheduled dispatchers. That right there tells me, okay, I'm going to be able to take a train, any train, and as long as I know what I'm doing and follow the signals, I'm going to be controlled under a dispatcher. That for me is what I look for, because in Florida I do enough switching and I do enough of whatever I need, so this is where it's going to meet that particular expectation of mine. The other servers I'm not too sure about. I know many have 24/7. I know some have sessions. Some are not very text friendly. Some require TeamSpeak. I get away from that. I even think Southwest may be... See, texters are allowed. So a lot of these places, texters are allowed. Looks like all of them are, which is interesting because from what I've seen, texters might be allowed, but they would say TeamSpeak's encouraged or something like that, or I don't know what the hell it is. But I've been in places where texters are allowed, and sometimes the dispatchers don't even pay attention to you when you're trying to contact them. You'll tone them, you do everything you're supposed to do, and you still can't get their attention. But anyways, like I said before, I don't know what servers do as far as a system. As far as, and it's not all about realistic switching or prototypical rules or cab rides and all this other garbage, because we don't have cab rides here. I just let people go and try to be somewhat realistic and let it go and have some fun. What's wearing me down is the schedule. It's starting to seem like a job again, and I don't like that feeling. I have, it's one of those things. I have to automate a lot to get things going, and there's still a lot of automation I need to do done. So I'm going to hang in there at least until the next May weekends to try to get some automation in here to try to get these yards reporting. What I mean by that is I have to assign every track an industry and be able to pull up the control L, which will list all the cars in these locations. That'll give me an indication, and then I have some other automation I want to put in there that will help me in better managing what I can get away with. This is annoying. I guess it's because they're in AI and the trains are running in AI, but they're sitting there and they're stopped at a red signal despite the fact that they're in standby. I just, oh well, I'll just have to deal with that. I'm not going to worry about that for now. So, anyways, getting back to what we do. And I know I'm not, I got to get things set. I got 3 trains to set up. It's 10:19. We'll see how it goes. Because I really don't want to spend too much time tomorrow before to get this. I want to get this. I want to get the schedule up tonight. So I think that'll be my first priority. Then I'll worry about the trains tomorrow, and we'll take it from there. So what I do is I bring in as much prototypical mainline bridge traffic as I can, because the hump is available and the hump basically sorts everything. Not to mention the trailer vans and the passengers. I want to make sure, because Selkirk Mohawk is not the busiest route out there. Like, this is what we're at right now. Some of them you don't see, you may see a couple symbols. Actually, no, they're all there. You got an Amtrak CSX train. Amtrak's coming west into the station at the bottom there at Syracuse. There's another CSX leader here, which is trailer van 14, which I decided to keep going and put him on this track, so he was coming at the same time. And then I have way up at the other side of Mohawk Sub, I got one more eastbound, Indianapolis to Selkirk. On the other side, I have 2 trains because the yard is clogged. They're queued up. Pittsburgh to Selkirk, followed by North Platte to Selkirk. I have an Amtrak train that's was, I believe, last doing a crew change at Albany, or Albany, whatever you call it, Albany Renfrew or whatever station, and he's set to go west. Everything else is blank. So I want to run as pretty much as many trains as possible. I would love to run every local, but here's where the issue comes into play. And this is looking basically at the hump and the receiving. So last night there's two issues that started coming up with the hump. And it was happening. It was happening with the same user, and he's actually a regular of mine. He's been on every session since the beginning, and he's from overseas, and which there's 2 issues. It has nothing to do with him. It's just the circumstances, and unfortunately, uh, it happened twice where I know how to fix it, but it's going to be a learning curve. But it also is an issue that I believe is internal to Run 8. It's actually it has nothing to do with him whatsoever. Actually, there's 2 issues. There's an issue with Run 8, and it's just one little issue that can cause a lot of issues. And Run 8's had them for years. They've had all these little issues. We've had exploding trains. We've had all kinds of things that have driven me nuts. But this is one issue that just hampers things. It's not a perfect simulator. It's damn good, but it's not perfect. And it's an issue that can be overcome. Unfortunately, I guess like everything else, I guess you have random issues where you drop an air hose and or something happens mechanically, or so those things aren't being simulated. So in a way, I guess it's kind of prototypical, but at the same time, you know maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But then at the same time, I'm trying to juggle spawning trains and dispatching, and asking questions or whatever, or answering questions, or it wasn't so bad last night, but it was a good thing it happened last night, to be quite honest, because had it happened on some of our busier times, it would have been very, very hectic for me. I like managed stress, but I don't like stress that just drives me absolutely nuts. So the two issues are this. Number one, if you have a lot of pings, and I find this has happened in the past with some of my users from Australia and overseas, because of, I don't know, maybe solar flares. There's all kinds of weird things that can happen that mess around with satellite communications. Run 8 has an issue with timing out, and I don't know if it has something to do with the handshake or it's just the nature of it. But what happens is when it times out, instead of it'll be in the middle of a hump. I wish it would continue its command so that it would, maybe it'll stop, but I wish it would process like a batch command. In other words, I believe the processing the hump is controlled through the client end, not the server. So whoever's in charge of the hump, and if the client is the one who's running the hump, they're the ones that control it. And if they drop and the cars are going, it's the same of if you're running the hump and you all of a sudden you relinquish your train, even if you're in single player, the hump will stop processing. So what ends up happening is cars that should be still being processed under a hump get reverted back to free agents, or fail to, or whatever the hell the stupid error message that comes up, and then the cars just go along and they stop, switching. Now the train stops, which is fine, it goes past, it's no big deal, but it ends up causing an issue where cars end up getting trapped. I just happen to be around. I've already seen a few missorts later, and this is, I think, why some of the missorts were happening in California, except in this situation, the missorts were probably happening in the past on the 24/7 side when people who were running a host had their carrier drop. If you're ever running a host, if you're ever running a hump and you get a carrier dropped, you need to check the yard to find out if something happened. And you need to check every one of these tracks to see, did my cars actually go there. Now I happen to be around. I was able to basically click on them, put the handbrakes on. When he came back, I gave him access and he was able to draw them back out. Again, it's not his fault. It's just an overseas thing, and it's possible because I didn't do a reboot that it might have been causing an issue, but I had other users on that didn't have an issue last night, so I don't know about that. The second issue has to do with this route. This route has had massive issues in the past. They fixed quite a few of them. There's one issue that is really starting to bother me, and that is it does not handle every car type with consistency. We know the auto racks do not work in this hump. I understand that. There's a lot of prototypical reasons for not humping auto racks depending upon the railroad. So I have no problem taking the auto racks, leaving them in multi-level trains, or cutting blocks out of multi-levels, setting them aside, and then just going ahead and humping them. Where I do have the issue is when suddenly you get a couple of reefers that are together and they get around this little goofy curve here. I don't know if it's this one or if it's a combination of others, but there's two issues I've seen that have happened. One, if you get a lot of, on certain tracks, if you get a bunch of reefers together, they will act just like an auto rack does, and it'll give an error saying it's too sharp of a curve or something, or I don't know what the error is, but it pops up on here. The cars literally stop. You have to go into it. You might be able to release the brakes and it might continue, but chances are you have to pull it out and then release the pin on the one to let it go, and then release the other one. That's the only way to get it to continue. So again, you have to stop the humping process. You have to take the hump controller off, get the switch, bring it back, do whatever you have to do, and make it work. It doesn't happen that often, but I know, of course, it happened last night. Combine that with the other things, I think maybe maybe two trains got humped last night of all of last night, and this is why we got a backlog. We already had a backlog. We still have one. And it's 4 p.m. now. I've definitely going to need to, as much as possible, get this hump. And the other thing too, and I'll probably hump tonight or tomorrow night, I should say. I will probably be doing most of the humping, though at the same time I also have to spawn trains. So this goes back into the whole, well, what is it that I am doing? And when I look at this right now, that's at 1605. I can spawn that almost right away. Stuff coming from Hudson East, that's not a big deal. Hudson East, a lot of those shouldn't be an issue. If I can get a lot of the Hudson East, I should be able to run the hump tomorrow, and I may do that. And then if Jerry, I believe, is coming on, I'll see if he wants to tackle the auto racks again, because he was doing a great job over there the other night. He got them all the loads in there for me, so we've got some auto rack trains coming up soon, I believe. So they might be leaving sooner than later, and I'm behind on the schedule, trying to figure out what trains are going where and when the next multi-level is supposed to go out and what times. And Conrail has a very, very goofy schedule, to say the least. It's complex. You're trying to figure out and see exactly what it's trying to do. It's very complex and goofy. So, I mean, I traffic wise, I picked a pretty good route, but on the complexity level, it is very, I do logistics and problem solving at work and all kinds of things. I don't want to do it on my spare time. I want to relax and have fun. So a little bit of logistics is fun, a little bit of switching, a little bit of this and a little bit of that is fun. But when it gets to the point where it's, massive problem solving, then that takes away from the fun. So once again, this being, actually, let this go for a moment here, and I will be right back. I just want to grab a drink because my throat's getting dry and I haven't been feeling too good today, so be right back. Alrighty, so yeah. Alrighty. Just get relaxed. No, I've had a headache, so I don't have a headache right now, but fighting allergies or sinus pain, or I don't know what the hell's going on. Whew. At least I'm drinking a lot of water, so that's a good thing. So, yeah, when you get this part that slows down, that becomes the center of your system. So right now, when I have two trains that are back, I don't mind backlogs. Actually, backlogs are a challenge that I enjoy. I don't mind that part. I really don't. I don't mind, having issues that I have to deal with in here. And I think once I have some of the automated systems, because each of these tracks are also going to have industries tagged up. Again, I plan on doing that in about 10 to 11 days from now, when the next long weekend for me is coming up, and I won't be with my son, so there'll be plenty of time on that weekend for me to get things. But there's quite a bit of there's quite a bit of cars, quite a bit of other things that need to be processed here. So I might. Um, I'm thinking tomorrow I'll see maybe if I can get Jerry to switch this out. We got a 4 hour cycle on these, so now that we got all these empties out, we can get those maybe into some of the departure tracks, and then figure out about getting the rest of the loads in, and then I can walk him through that. Basically what needs to be done. Like, I'm looking at this right now, and I'm thinking, like, there's some manifest in here too. So we've got, I don't know what what do we got, a 66? I don't even know what that is. I don't know. 66, 51, 74. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out that train, because I don't remember putting number tags on those auto racks. I gotta see that for a minute. Came in on NFSC too. That's not good. I don't think that's good. Well, it's got the 5 engines. It's kind of weird that I have 66, 51, 74. What the hell did I do with that? I have no idea what I was doing there. Beats the hell out of me. Well, I definitely tagged it, but didn't I just make that train the other night? I gotta start logging what I'm doing. So this is another thing too, is trying to get the software. What they should be, this one here has Selker tagged on all of them. What it should be is the auto racks should all be SAT. I know there's some that don't. There's there's these ones right here. These are empties that came in, so they're ML433s. So anyways, I'm getting drawn off. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done still. But there is a question about the industries. There was a suggestion, well, we can start, and I've had a lot over years, even when I had California or whatever, they had suggestions on, well, we can do this, I can do this, and a lot of times, I don't decide against every suggestion I get. I've gone off, there's been a lot of good ideas that people have had over the years that I've basically incorporated what I liked about it into my own plans. So what'll happen is you've got all these cars that are going in and out. This is the main. Oh, I did see lightning. This is the main thing that goes as far as. I wonder if I don't hear the thunder because it's not. It's because it's paused. I don't know. Kind of weird. The clouds are moving, but so this, because, like I say, I want to have as many trains that the line is meant to be. And I find that the amount of trains that actually run on this line are actually well under capacity. It can handle a lot more. And in fact, in CSX, it does handle a lot more. So having that in play, I've always thought, well, gee, um, that's great because at least that's what's real, or that's what is close to what I believe is realistic. So I'm fine with that. So what you end up happening is that anybody who's running a train or anybody who's dispatching, right now I'm doing all the dispatching, and anybody else who wants to run a train should get what would be a realistic expectation. The only thing that they're not going to get is, as they're going by a Syracuse or all those industries, they're not going to see cars on them because they serve no purpose, because they're not currently simulated. What I've done is I've started from the top down, and I've said this is what needs to get done first. I have to make sure that all the manifest trains are running properly, that any operation, because Selkirk is the hub, has to be running. The next step, the other hub that's going to start seeing operations very soon, is going to be right here. Now, as you can see, there's an Amtrak train that's sitting right here. He's got his lights on. He's still powered up. I guess I should have relinquished it or whatever. But what this is this is the trains that are coming in. Oh, that I heard the thunder. So I guess the thunder is closer to Albany than the other way. So it was off towards Albany, the storm. Somewhere around here. I don't know. So you saw the lightning in the distance, but you didn't hear the thunder. That was what happened the other day. I was looking at Albany and it had that. So it's pretty cool. It saves the actual storm where it was last added. So this train's going to continue to do its crew changes. He's going to head towards Buffalo. This guy here has terminated for the night. What'll happen is during the overnight hours, we're going to have to get these engines. Ideally, we'd like to do the whole damn train, but then again, there's another issue. Once that little silly bug, because this is too big of a curve, we can't turn the entire train. So the only thing we can do is turn the engines. That's the only possibility. So what I'll probably end up doing is, once I have all the trains set up, the last trains I think come through by 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, or maybe a little bit earlier. There's like a 3-4 hour window. I will put a Selkirk, an Albany job that basically takes all the engines, takes them over. I'd love to do the locomotive shops and all that other stuff. Those are extra things if people have time, or if we have people. And I'll get to that in a moment. But then all that's going to do is turn around the cars, because right now what we're doing is anytime we run a train, we spawn it right here. And I want to get rid of that, because that's an added step that I need to do. I want to have the trains ready, get them in line. Whenever I'm ready to get them in line, have them stop, hold at a red signal, go into standby, and hopefully they don't beep at me and complain, but get them basically set up and ready to go when I'm ready to get them to go, basically. Even if I have to keep them in AI and they complain and they do their little crew change or whatever, then as soon as I want to set the departure and the departure's ready, then I'll give him a green light and he'll leave, and that'll be that. But that'll save me from having to go in and spawn and click onto them and set the AI, which is also an annoying thing about the AI. But I mean, most of the AI I like. So, like I said, there's more pros than cons. But again, it goes back to expectations. So, I'm talking a lot about expectations, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to get to work here in a minute. And Well, now I can hear the thunder. I guess it's followed me, or it's getting closer. Interesting. So, we get all that, um, and we have that to work on. We have that to work on. Right now, that is the scope. I have the auto industry because I have multi-level trains that switch here. I currently do not have any locals. If and only if I have a steady stream of enough people that I can count on who become regulars, and I feel I have enough depth. Last night there was proof that there's not enough depth. I have at least a couple people, I would say maybe 2 to 3 right now that seem very interested. So that's encouraging. The others, I don't know. Um, like I said, there's a bunch that come on and they come in groups. So it seems like it's a group thing. They either all come or they all don't. I think it's the last minute decision they make and say, well, do you want to go on Sean's server? Yeah, let's go on Sean's server. And then a bunch of them all come over. And that seems evidence in the time, because what's going to happen is it's 10:45 in the East right now, 10:45 p.m. in the East. I'm going to go out of my way to put a schedule up so that there's a bid board. I'm not 100% sure if it's worth me doing it, because I'm still, some people are coming in and asking, what trains are available. Well, that's why I do the bid board. And there's a lot of other people that just say, well, I'll just run whatever. Like, okay, well, that's what the trains are there for. You just choose one and pick one and go have fun. And if you're done your one train, then there's other trains out there that are running AI. Just hit F3 on the dispatch display. It won't show you the signals. It won't show you the train IDs. But you can pretty much see when the call times are. You'll figure out when if it comes past a time, then it should be out there. And it's much easier for me, especially when I'm busy doing other things, to not have to explain where all the trains are. It's a lot easier for you, who can fly around and do whatever you want in between, to say, oh, all I do is I go like this. Now, of course, I get the luxury of seeing those trains. Well, if I see a dispatch display and it has a bunch of lights, well, then I might spawn over to here and hit the spacebar button. Okay. And then I see, well, what do I see? Okay, well, there's Uniondale, and I see a train sitting here. Now, of course, it sounds louder. So there's the Pittsburgh-Selkirk train. Now, I did see a second one, but he's probably further back. He hasn't made it this way, as far. So he was still running towards, there he is. No, that's clouds trees and crap. So I don't know how to get to the other one, but you might have to do a little exploring or a little bit of running, and eventually you'll find it. I know it's a bit of a pain, but, that's just one of those things. For me, then I have to go, and I have to go. I might be humping, I might be in the middle of switching, I may not want to go F3 and click on these to tell you where all the trains are. So that's why I do the list. I mean, this one there, Indianapolis, got the Amtrak there. So I know these, and I do that on purpose. I don't show the signals. That's just the way I do it. I want people not to go off the dispatch board. I want people to go off the signals that they see in front of them. That's just the way I like to run things. I don't want people flicking switches. I don't want people. I want the dispatcher to control that. So if there's not enough people. And this is how I did it with the Bakersfield project. I also did it with doing it with the Selkirk project. The whole premises of these projects, unlike other servers that I've run in the past, was I didn't build it for to be a massive group of people to run it. I've learned from experience that because there's so many servers out there, and I was the one who was calling for a lot of different, like, where are the servers? Yes, you have the big servers, but are the big servers serving what you want, or are they just serving what they want? And or combination of, you know, majority rules. In other words, what the majority of people want is what the majority of people get, and that's what they decide on, and that's it. I have my vision. People should have their other visions. Even Mike and I have different visions. We have similar visions, but we have very, like, I mean, he's going to be running 50 trains, I think, in California, whereas, you know, when we were running California, we were running 100. We were running pretty much every industry. I concur with him that there's too many, that you can't have all these industries. But at the other side, I look at the trains from a dispatching standpoint, and I love that challenge of having realistic traffic levels. What I will do, and I'll say this much, and then I'll get on to the business of getting these trains going. If I have enough people that I can count on a regular basis, and I do mean I need some depth. And if I find it grows and it gains momentum, and a lot of people are into it, and I'm always open to suggestions too. That's what my forums are for in the Wikia. So there's a suggestion forum. By go crazy, suggest like crazy. I encourage that. But you know, what if I have enough people? Then the next plan, as far as the industries was instead of running a daily locals to various industries, I will run a 7-day cycle. So I will run certain locals on a simulated Monday, certain locals on a simulated Tuesday, certain locals on a simulated Wednesday, and I will run a 7-day return. Right now, for example, to meet the demand of all our multi-level trains, this industry right here turns over loads after 4 hours. We run 4-hour sessions. So now, towards the latter part of the session, and I can tell how these were switched. Now, these are all empty right now. When I checked during the session, I can tell that these 6 tracks were loaded or put on these tracks first. These 2 were the last ones, and the reason why I could tell was when I went over here, I found that these had been emptied first and these were still loaded. Before that, I could see on the list of the industries how many hours were left, and I knew that some had 2 hours and some had 1. And that's exactly what happens, and that's the way it's supposed to work. So after 4 hours, and there's some trains that come here in the morning as auto rack loads, they have to get switched out, they have to get brought in here, and then they get, you know, swapped out for empties, etc. And, you know, that's all there is to it. The empties going on outbound trains are not as important, I don't think, as it is getting the loads out. So if I have to send a train off without getting the empties, it's not a big deal, but eventually I'm going to want to get these empties out of here. I definitely want to get the loads in here as soon as possible. So I have a bunch of loads, because the quicker I can have them unload, the better. So that's a 4-hour turnaround. The other industries, if I do, and when and if I do introduce them, they will be 7 days to turn over a load, or 7 days to empty. And the reason why I'm doing that is because there's no way in hell we're going to have enough people in the near future to run all the locals on a regular basis and to run all the yards on a regular basis. The only way I will allow that to happen is if I know I have a huge, huge base. That base of people can't be specialists. I've known from experience that when you give somebody who wants to specialize in something, who has a lot of time, and if they don't get what they want and they leave, basically take their ball and leave is like what I like to say, then they take that specialty with them. You don't want specialists, you want team players. You want people who are going to be able to do other things. First of all, running a manifest train, I have no requirements for anybody to run a manifest train whatsoever. Anybody who wants to run one, be so. Enjoy yourself. You're free to do that. You're free to jump aboard trains and, observe, railfan, do whatever you want. I'm fine with that. You can trespass. I don't care. I don't want added problems like, hey, I was running the high rail and I found this, and I don't need that. I don't care. I know people are trying to be realistic, but I got work to do. I have too much other things that I have to do. So the only reason why I introduced the high railers was to give people something to do if they were bored and they didn't have enough trains to run. And that's the other thing, is keeping expectations. Is there enough trains for people to run? There's more than enough work that I can get going at Selkirk. I can get at least 3 people working in here. Trimming. A lot of people think, well, you gotta, they look at a bowl like this and they think, oh, geez, we got to empty every track. Well, here's the problem: you empty every track, where are you going to put it? Some of these tracks have 4 tracks that are for one train, and they're blocked. They're already pre-blocked. Well, where are you going to put them? It's not like California. And even if it wasn't, was in that sense, I thought it was a waste of time to just trim a track. Now this one right here, see this one right here? This is going to overflow. So the very next one. Now I know certain tracks, and there was one critique I had. There was one on 71, and there was still room for about 5 cars. That thing never overfilled, and I knew that I had certain sets of cars that were not going to touch that track, so I wasn't going to touch it, and I never did, and it's never been pulled since. It's still sitting and waiting for the next outbound. Right now, this is all configured into Boston. The way I have the humps set up is like this. I got a note here that there's 2 cars head in missort. Now this 55, even though I do have 55 in the bowl, I also have 55 that is also located in one of the drill tracks. In that case, I had to pull it because of overflow. So these are the configurations. I had to change this actually, and I forgot to. So might as well do it right now since I'm in here. These configurations are now in play. I just forgot to. Well, I probably forgot, but. I want to make sure it's 78 is okay since I'm here. Let me just see, make sure. I'm pretty sure it was, I don't think it was this configuration. I think it was the last one. But I did notice it. No, it must have been in the last one because I think 78 is fine right now. There we go, 59. Yeah, this one's fine. So what happens is I have a virtual hump and I swap these out with saved files. So right now the current configuration is this. I saved a bunch yesterday. It takes about 10 minutes, I would say, to change a configuration over 15 tops. It's not a big deal. It can be done. It's easy to do. It totally gives you much more flexibility in your yards to, you know, and the logistics. I got so much I can do with the logistics. It's not funny. But anyways, let me get on with. Maybe you can go see the storm here. I don't know where the storm is gone. If it just flew over to some other place, or is it still in Albany? Here, we'll go over here. Looks like the storm headed off somewhere. Did it go east? I don't know where it went to. Here, let's go out here somewhere. I want you guys to enjoy the storm while we'll go to Little Falls. Yep, looks like clear here. Okay, how about the other side? Oh, that looks like a potential storm. I'm lost where. Oh yeah, there's a storm somewhere around here. Oh, I'm back at thing. Okay. Anyways, I'll be back in a few minutes, and then I'm gonna get these trains set up and hopefully get a list in by midnight. So I'll be right back. Okay. 11:02 in the east. I have one more of these. Got these little Trident splash guns. I don't know what that is. Pretty good. I was getting a, believe it or not, I was getting an aftertaste from water. I think it was an aftertaste from, who knows? Probably food particles or something. I don't know what the hell it is, but could be why I'm getting headaches too. There's sinus or ears or something. I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, let's get to work. We'll let the storm go on in the background while we do this. Whoa, that's neat. I love how that does that. So let's see what we still have out here. So TV 14, 281. I know there's another one there, TV14 281. Actually, well, I was supposed to put the locations, weren't I? Oops. Oh, where are we at here? CP 290, 291. So yeah, this in between time too is a lot of work. Thankfully, there's not that many trains, or else it would be hectic. I'm gonna turn this into yellow. Just so I don't get mixed up with the other stuff that's out there. I guess we'll put them past CP 203. MSC. CP 203. So what these are the actual locations that I'm putting of the trains that are part of the system. And I add these in so that people know at 7 p.m. Eastern where these trains are. They'll have to figure out just based on this and what trains, just basic logic, what's coming up on the list to say, oh, well, that might be this train. So if somebody's asked me, well, do you have any other trains that are going? Do you have that? It's like, it's on the list, dudes. Just take a look. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm not trying to be an idiot of this, too. I just, I got lots going on. Becomes a full-time job, like me. Okay. Thing. Forget that whole part. Okay. I gotta find out when these trains are leaving. ML 433. Okay, so he leaves at 6:45. What does he do again? I can't remember. He does something. Right now I have him just taking empty auto racks. So in fact, I might even have some cars for 433. I'm not positive on that one. I can't remember. Just take a quick look. Yeah, I do. So that'll be one as well to consider. Yeah. So if Jerry wants to switch that, that'll give him a lot. TOMT is another one. Ah, crap. Well, he was already supposed to leave at 3:30. Oh, it's the intermodals I'm thinking. I know there was some intermodals or something I had set up, and I couldn't remember what the hell I had it set up for. So they're currently offline, but they're going to be I wouldn't say priorities to get out because there's so much stuff going on in Selkirk right now. But those are just two of the trains that have been sitting there all day, and they come in the morning, but the auto racks were a little bit slower, so it's gonna take a while getting used to that. Everything else I think is already run. Um, so this guy has not departed. That guy has not departed. Every online train I put in here so there's going to be more trains than we think. Or I think, or I don't know. However you want to say it. Oh, man. I guess I'll call it a standby. So this will be May the 10th. We will be starting at 4 p.m. in the sim. I don't know why I did that. No. Alright. Looks like I'll have 3 trains to build tomorrow. We'll do it. Is that the last daily that I have to worry about? Yeah. Oh, what the hell was that? Get out of there. I don't even know what I did there. That's not what I wanted. I think it was like 0.09 or something. What's 0.01 give it? Yeah, I don't like that. That is just so screwed up. I gotta change that formula. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I don't never get around to it because this never changes. So I gotta adjust this formula at some point. Okay. But anyways. So have I lit anything else up? I thought I did. Let me just do that. Since I screwed up the rest, put that there. Okay, so we'll go with the green, I guess, just because it looks good. I'm not even going to simulate these 10% these passengers anymore. I'll save myself some time. Actually, you know, let's make it blue. It's hard to see against the other colors. Well, actually, I don't need that for that, so put that back. There we go. Oh, he's later. Gotta like it when they go later. So he's like a 2-hour delay. Maybe if I'm lucky, the other ones will push back too. I know I'm mean. Actually, I got those stupid passengers in there again. Damn it. Oh man, I can't believe I did that. So he's running, actually, or his departure crew for whatever reason is departing ahead of the other guy. I guess he's, I don't know. I can't even explain that one. Okay, so we got passenger trains here. Lots of passenger trains, that's cool. I think that's the last 4 right there. Oh, TV 204. Okay. Let's see if I can bump these ones off. Not so lucky, huh? Okay, question, why is he at 50% then? Or 25? He should be 50%. He should be 25. Aha, bumped one off. Almost bumped him off. In fact, I'm gonna bump him off just because he's only like 4 minutes to go. I'll spawn him next time. Anything I can do to save myself some time. Chicago Kearney I don't care about. He's on time. So these two right here are bumped right off. So I only have to worry about one one other guy, yeah. Yeah, when they're that close, like when they're only 4 minutes ago, I'm not going to bother announcing a train. We'll see. I might put it in there anyways, but I doubt it. Like, honestly, who's going to want to run a train for the last 5 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever the hell it is? Okay. So I'll go in order here. What do we got? 64, 244, 235. Passenger 291, passenger 68. Wow. Lots of passenger set up in the row here. SECN P49. Look how many passenger trains we got going here. That's crazy stuff. Oh, P237. P237 and Seppi. CSSE TV204. NESE Barber Station. All right, so I just realized I killed my old schedule formulas in there. That's okay. I think the earwax in my brain is bothering me. Yeah. I should take care of that. Yeah, I might take care of that tonight. I'll take care of myself first. I don't have too much to worry about. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to change this around. Just manage the session here and just see the okay, I didn't want to do that. Let me edit this. Well, let me try to get this at least in play. And then I'll call it for the night. So P64. So yeah, we'll do it that way. 1727. Yeah, it'd be nice if they had an Excel import. That'd be really cool. But beggars can't be choosers, so, you know, it is what it is. St. Lawrence, 1730. I think another thing that people don't understand too is when things don't go as planned and they're waiting for, you know, people are waiting for trains. Well, you know, is this train ready to go? Is this train ready to go? That's the problem. It takes people to build the trains, right? And if you don't have enough people to build the trains, or if there's technical issues, these things get delayed. And we're still learning, so. But 1825, I guess all the way there. 237, 1815, 1825. I definitely had more time on a Sunday to go through this. So that's another thing I'm thinking about doing is, whoops, not daily. Castleton, 1956 is late. So yeah, I'm contemplating the bids aren't being used as often, so I'm beginning to wonder if it's necessary for me to even put the bid boards up. Because I have to kind of do this stuff beforehand anyways, so I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Where the hell's that going? Oh, that's going into Albany. So let's try doing this. So what I'll do is I will put in the one we had here. Okay, why can't I get the bid board to work? Like, there's no formula here. It just does not like using it. TD data sheets value 1, 2, blah blah blah, CB255, and then it it just goes bloop and forget about it. All right. I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this over because I'm getting tired. All right. So what happens is we've got maybe one, two people, and then we get a bunch of people sometimes towards the end. So I'm not gonna rush to try to get this in there by midnight. Um, it's just not worth it. Not at this point. I know I was yapping a little bit too much. It takes a lot to get this bid board going. So I've got the trains. I've got it set up now. I know it's not going to take too much to build these. So hopefully I'll get it in. It'll be a Wednesday, and then I can readjust. Hopefully Thursdays, then Sunday, see what's going on. But I might have to I'll have to consider. Um, I'll have to consider about having a Sunday session or not, or just going with a Monday and a Wednesday, or maybe a Sunday and a Wednesday, just to give myself more time or something. But it's a little bit of a burnt out process just to try to get all that in there. I have the data here, but to try to get that on there. Now, the good thing is, once I have all these saved sessions in here, because I got a bunch of inactive ones, I can go back in and reuse them. See, I can go back to the bid boards, and there they all are. Then I can reuse them and just modify them slightly, so it's not too bad. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, anyways, man, I gotta deal with this earwax. It's really bugging me. So, I'll try to do that before I head to bed. But, yeah, that's it for now. Not too much other than the thunder in the background. So yeah, we'll be running as normal, and hopefully I'll get some work orders or something up later tomorrow. What's the weather like? It's supposed to be nice tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah. See, if it's nice at around noon, I go for a walk, so I don't get much time to do much, so that's just the way it is. So we'll see. But we'll see how things go. But anyways, for now, I'm going to end it. And I'll end this for tonight, and I'll be back on tomorrow sometime before the session. We'll set things up, get things going, and hopefully get the bid board and everything else created. Like I said, there's only like one train that I have to create, maybe two at the most at this point, so it's not going to take too much. And slowly we'll get this together, and we'll see how things go. I'll post another message on and take care of a few things before I head off to bed. But that's it for now. Anyways, guys, have a good one.